Modern Warfare 2. I know that we're still a bit of a ways off from official reveals here, or honestly, maybe not. I mean, we're coming up on that April and May timeframe that we normally do start to see stuff, but who knows? The full game itself, though, and the year or potentially more of content to follow, though, that definitely is a ways out. But the information that's out there right now makes for some interesting discussions as to what we can see post-launch of Modern Warfare 2. Today, we're going to be looking at how this upcoming entry into the Call of Duty franchise may indeed be the largest offering we've ever seen to date out of any Call of Duty game, as insiders have come out and brought out a bit more information in regards to that coming content in the main year of support and beyond. So as we go along, drop your thoughts down below on what you'd like to see. Is there a weapon, map, or mode that you'd like to see return for Modern Warfare 2, if any at all? If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor and drop a like on the video, and if you're new to the channel, do be sure to hit the subscribe button to stay updated with all things Modern Warfare 2 and anything Call of Duty related, like Warzone in the meantime. And finally, if you'd like to support the channel a little further, an entirely optional way to do so is by using creator code Espresso in the in-game shop in either Vanguard, Cold War, Modern Warfare, or Warzone. It's entirely optional, do not ever feel pressure to do so, but if you do, tweet me a picture. I'd love to shout out some of your generous support in upcoming videos. That said, let's jump into it. So we've talked about how there was this bombshell report that kind of broke our minds when it came to what we kind of expect and think about with Call of Duty a few months back. Jason Schreier, writing for Bloomberg, ended up reporting that we'd see the prospect of Call of Duty taking a gap year for the first time in the modern history of the franchise, in that with the 2023 year, meaning that post what is presumed to be Modern Warfare 2 later this fall, after that we'll have another 2 years before our next title, rather than just our standard normal 12 months. So that entire fall of 2023 to fall of 2024 would still be the support of Modern Warfare 2, and we wouldn't get a brand new game introduced then. To me, in theory, I am all for this, though honestly, I'd be lying if I said that I wouldn't miss that boom that an annual release usually brings along for content creators and growth of the channel, but at the same time, if that helps who's reported to be Treyarch with some actual time to make their product whole and complete, by all means, do that. If you look at their recent history, they've been pulled in a million different directions over the course of the last 6 years or so. Treyarch currently is assisting on zombies and League play in a game that's not their own with Vanguard. They also had to be pulled during the main year of content support for Black Ops 4 to then clean up what was then Black Ops Cold War, then rebrand it, and I think that the rumor was that that was the entire MP was built out by them. The campaign, the storyline, and the characters you see there were what appeared to be Raven's storyline initially, just a blanket and new Cold War story. That's kind of why Mason and Woods and the existing characters were more so side pieces than anything else, because the story itself was already set in stone. But I digress, that's an entirely different story for a different day. But then you saw also with Black Ops 4, they had to pivot from a story mode and a campaign to then work on a blackout mode. So they really haven't had that full time to go full steam ahead, uninterrupted on their full vision for a project since like Black Ops 3. So give them that time, definitely the smart play. But again, that calls into question what happens to the content distribution? What happens for us players over the course of that additional 12 months? Because, I mean, if you look at it right now, every year when you get to month 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, that's when people have the least amount of interest in the game, and Call of Duty's kind of at its lowest point here. That's why we have supplemental things like a beta for the next game, why we have reveals and everything like that. But what happens in that additional 12 months? Well, Jason Schreier reported a handful of things. Warzone 2, likely coming as of spring next year. A new free-to-play title was up on deck at some point, which we theorized the other day could be a new remaster of an older Call of Duty game to tide people over. But recently, we've also heard a bit more in regards to Modern Warfare 2 as a whole, coming from Ralph's Valve, insider that we've talked about here on the channel before. He once again stated, with Modern Warfare 2's DLC expanding into 2023, Infinity Ward plans to incorporate more remastered maps than previously intended, spanning across Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare 2, and Modern Warfare 3. And also he added further details into that discussion, saying that weaponry won't be added directly from the games, but instead will be as blueprints only. So seemingly inadvertently confirming another repeat of the Modern Warfare 2019 situation where we may have conversions to make certain weapons. And additionally, he mentioned that right now the classic Modern Warfare 3 remaster doesn't actually exist, which is interesting to hear, but we can touch on that at another point. But what that means for Modern Warfare 2 as a whole is certainly interesting. Now, firstly, this idea isn't exactly new. We had this theory, and it was actually mentioned by, I think, Activision executives back during Modern Warfare 2019, that we'd see, instead of a full-fledged Modern Warfare 2 remastered multiplayer, like what was released in the spring of 2020 during Modern Warfare 2019's main year of support, that we'd instead see maps and weaponry added into the mainline Modern Warfare 2019 experience. And especially at that time, it made sense, because Modern Warfare 2019 was the best-selling Call of Duty game since the original classic Modern Warfare and Black Ops games, and and was soon to be the best-selling Call of Duty game of all time, following those continued sales through Warzone. So to bring an entire remaster of a classic game would have certainly deterred any growth of that current title that was Modern Warfare. However, afterward, we really never saw too many added in. When those statements were issued in regards to that, it was around Season 2 here when Warzone was first starting up, and I think it was maybe Season 3 that we ended up seeing that actual remaster come for the campaign. But of Modern Warfare 2 maps from the Season 2 marker on, even if we're being generous with that Season 2 inclusion, we only had Rust and Scrapyard. That was it. We did get other remasters like Hard Hat, Backlot, and Broadcast, but those weren't from the mentioned Modern Warfare 2 map set that was a focal point of that discussion as to why we didn't see a Modern Warfare 2 remastered multiplayer. However, this is now easily brought back into the fold of discussion if we talk about having an additional year for Modern Warfare 2. So if we're getting remastered maps to supplement content distribution, the way I kind of see this coming together is that fall of 2023 to fall of 2024, we'll be seeing an increase in just about everything except for getting a brand new mainline title, which is kind of an interesting way to think of things. I mean, with a free-to-play title of some kind, we don't know what that is, a new Warzone experience with presumed further upkeep, Infinity Ward is back at the helm here with this project, before perhaps handing it off again later on down the line, and additional Modern Warfare 2 DLC content. While we may not have a big swell that's an entirely new game, it seems like things will at least be continuous as opposed to a maybe gradual shift downward in support. Though, side note, it never really crossed my mind until just now. If we're getting a Warzone 2 built out fully to iron out any issues that we saw with Warzone 1 in the way of like integrations and things like that, because Warzone wasn't meant to be a multi-year, multi-game project, it's kind of comical to think that we would build out something brand new, built to tackle those issues, and then not have any sort of integration until nearly 2 years down the road. The spring of 2023 launch and a possible fall of 2024 integration following Treyarch's next title, that's just kind of weird how that all worked out. But anyways, here's how I imagine it going, ideally speaking, given the patterns that we already know. Modern Warfare 2 does seasons, but not necessarily only seasons 1 to 6, instead 1 to 12 over that duration of 2 years. Ideally speaking, I would love to see there be our normal 3 to 4, maybe 5 maps per season that we end up having that is all original content, all original stuff specifically built for Modern Warfare 2, but then also on top of that, throw in 1 to 2 remastered maps each season to bolster out that content. Not to detract from the overall offering of original content, but instead add to the overall content distribution. If that were to happen, we'd get 5 to 6 maps each season. That will definitely add up over time. But I mean, if we're seeing content and remasters span across COD 4, Modern Warfare 2, and Modern Warfare 3 now at this point, there is absolutely no shortage of maps that could work here. Between those 3 titles and all of their expansions or map packs, we had a total of 92 maps through those 3 games. Now, not all of those, sure, are 6v6. Some of those were face-off maps in Modern Warfare 3 and such, but with Ralph having mentioned that Gunfight is slated to return for Modern Warfare 2, those can still easily be in the mix for discussion on maps coming later on down the line. Content pool from classic map sets is literally no problem, it's just a matter of what actually comes to the table. Now, that said, do things ever really ideally work? Most of the time, no. And obviously, as fans who don't have any of the insight into development, the red tape that goes behind all the publishing aspect of it and everything like that, it's easy for us to say, okay, that makes sense and it seems easy enough to do it. But realistically, will that happen? Who knows? One thing that definitely is interesting, though, is that it's quite possible in some way, shape, or form that Modern Warfare 2 here could actually turn into an overall Modern Warfare collection of sorts. And I think that, honestly, that may be fitting. If it's rumored right now that Modern Warfare 2 may be the last Modern Warfare game that we have here in regards to this new reboot saga, because right now the future is relatively unknown. I mean, Microsoft is looking to acquire Activision, so that would change probably all the future direction as well. With Modern Warfare 2 right now being that rumored endpoint, I mean, wouldn't it be fitting to have your multiplayer offerings across the entire franchise kind of all into one game instead of remastering and splitting the player base in 3-4 different avenues? That could work out pretty well. Now, personally, I know this is not anything that pertains to the information in the discussion at hand, but honestly, I'd love to see a bunch of maps here come into play from the original COD 4, Modern Warfare 2, and Modern Warfare 3. Overgrown, I definitely think I'd like to see return. I think it'd be cool if Crash came back again. Shipment, probably going to be happening, let's be real. Honestly, I always really enjoyed Showdown. That might not be the most popular of maps here, or the opinions, but I really enjoyed that map. Maybe the OG Kill House. We, of course, did get the Kill House version in Modern Warfare 2019, but wasn't exactly one-to-one. Bailout, Storm, and Salvage were awesome maps in Modern Warfare 2's DLC. I wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing Terminal, Scrapyard, and Rust already planned for a return, but I'd love to see High Rise again, Favela, maybe Skid Row and Karachi. Modern Warfare 3, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Dome, Hard Hat, maybe Resistance, but honestly, I would love to see maps like Arcaden, Mission, Fallen, Village, Parish, and Gulch all added to the fold. There's some seriously hidden gems in Modern Warfare 3 in my opinion. But anyways, that's kind of where we're at here at this. Wanted to fill you guys in on a little bit of information in regards to Modern Warfare 2's rumored multiplayer at the moment, how it may actually become one of the biggest projects we actually ever see in the Call of Duty franchise, and that'd be pretty cool to me. Anyways, though, that's where we're going to wrap it up. So let me know your thoughts down below. Do you guys want to see any particular weapon, map, mode added into Modern Warfare 2 here coming later this year, or perhaps during the content season following post-launch? Whatever the case, drop your thoughts down below. But if you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, drop a like on it. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things news and information regarding Modern Warfare 2 here, presumed to be coming later this year. And in the meantime, stuff like Warzone, loadouts, tips, tricks, updates, and information, we got you covered with all of that. So if you guys are interested, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. That said, thanks so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care, and peace.